Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at at a no item run. We are no iteming Red Zone Broly. So for those of you who obviously follow the channel, I don't really do no item runs as like a thing. I do the no item run challenge, and that's generally me no item running older content. If there's like missions related to no item runs or using no support items, I will do those, like for example in the Cell Max events. But in terms of like specifically going out to no item stages, I don't necessarily do it. Like when they bring out a whole bunch of red zones, I don't do every single stage no item. It's just not my thing. Could be my thing, just isn't my thing. No item running stuff is like not high on my list of priorities. It's fun to do, but I mean it's not even that fun to do. I actually also I enjoy it. I mean, the big thing is when I no item run a stage, I like to do a no item run that's generally quite solid. So for example, if I'm going to no item run a stage, I want the team to almost consistently no item run the stage, or with very minimal like RNG no item run the stage. Obviously there are certain things you can't control. There's certain things that you cannot really be fully in control of. Like for example, is my unit gonna dodge now? Is my unit gonna do this? Like obviously that's a little bit out of your ballpark. It's just one of those things. I don't think it's necessarily like all it has to be 100% set in stone. Like, oh, I have to be able to fully run all of this and complete the stage and etc, etc. But I do think like I'd rather have a team that on the whole face of things takes around 7 or 8 attempts to no item run the stage, rather than a team that takes like 27 attempts, because then I feel like it's pointless because people try to replicate it or give it a go. It's hard for them. Like it's very difficult for them to kind of consistently run or handle these stages. But so there's a couple of things we're doing here in terms of team build that are interesting, I guess. Well, kind of interesting. We've got my favorite unit in the game, Power of Pride and Hope Super Saiyan God SS Vegeta and Super Saiyan Trunks. No surprise to anyone, we're running a Modern Parent and Child team. I think I've used a variation of this team for every red zone except for Metal Core Cooler, which was double Dbz Dokkan, because of just by accident, I think. But basically Vegeta and Trunks are incredibly powerful. They have that guard mechanism, they have an incredibly high level of raw defense, they have their active skill, they have a lot. Like they have a lot going on. They have a very strong team, they have very strong builds, they're just a very strong unit themselves. So they are an incredibly good unit, and so they make running these events relatively easy. Obviously, take that with a pinch of salt. It's not to say that they make the event trivial, but generally, since I've got them, achieving these no item runs is relatively straightforward, because having 2 of them essentially locks down the first slot on each rotation. It basically does my entire job for me. Like it really does make things that easy. I know people don't like the fact that you have to put them in the first slot. I don't understand why that's now a issue, apparently, or at least I've seen on Twitter. Then again, who listens to Dokkan Twitter? Genuine question. But pretty straightforward. Obviously the big risk area is this strength AoE phase. Like it's very obviously the big risk factor, because if Broly fires off an AoE super, every unit in the turn has to be able to survive the AoE super, which just isn't the case. Tech Gogeta will likely die to the AoE super. And also Tech God Goku will take a lot of damage. I think even Vegeta and Trunks would take some damage, especially my one that's only got one dupe. But again, that's just the strength phase. So the important thing is to get through it. You'll see I've used Gogeta's active skill. There is a reason for this, because I want to be able to see where the attacks are coming from. I want to be able to see when they're coming from, and also to kind of just give a little bit more damage output, as it's very important. In terms of my good friend Dbz Dokkan, we're also using his active skill for the interrupt, but also again mainly for the ability to do damage. Like, it's all, a lot of everything we're doing is to correlate towards doing damage during the strength phase, because we need to be able to take out Broly before he can do big damage. And he's still going to AoE super, and here we're relying entirely on the nullification aspect of Gohan. So there you go, that's where he comes in clutch, that key based super attack nullification. And yeah, basically it's a very, very interesting stage. That strength phase is essentially where most runs are kind of live or die situation. So most runs are like either 100% A-OK, they survive the strength phase, and then the AGL phase is tough, but it's not, I don't know, it's not as tough. This feels like the gatekeeping of the Broly event, because often also as well, if you're doing an item run, if you're using support items, the big thing with this specific stage is you usually have to use a Whis, or at least 2 Whis, or 2 Icarus, or 2 damage reduction items, just to kind of get through the stage, which means generally speaking that you're not left with a lot for Broly. And Broly himself, he hits hard. Like, he can hit hard. It's not that he doesn't hit hard, it's not that he doesn't do damage. He can hit hard, and it's something you do want to be aware of. But yeah, so we've got good old Vegeta, we've got good old Trunks, we've got Tech God Goku, we've got like the whole kind of gang all together, which is fine. We really are just trying to essentially do what we can to really just give ourselves the best defensive situation against Broly. The revive from Tech Super Saiyan Goku is going to come in handy, because it's essentially going to be one of our ways of healing up, which is super duper important. So you're going to see now Goku is going to get hammered by the super attack, and that's okay, that was planned. That is why I placed him in the first slot, because we want to revive. Why do we want to revive? Well, because one, it makes Goku's guard permanent, and although you'll say, well, he's a tech type, well, yes, that's true, but there is a concept of true guard, and true guard eliminates class difference as well, so Goku gains an extra 5% differential, which is pretty cool. And then also, obviously as well, it also gives us a heal, and the heal is important. It allows us to just kind of top ourselves back up, not really have like too many issues, and yeah, basically just gives us that extra 10 or 15% that we weren't really playing with at that point in time. So yeah, I think beyond that, to be honest with you, most things are really quite straightforward. I think the team in general does a very, very solid job. Damage is a tiny bit low. That tends to happen with Trunks and Vegeta, because they're a great unit, but they only ever hit like the 6-7 million bracket. And yes, their crits do help and make up for it, but it's not like we're carrying, we can't transform Gohan, so we're not getting like his 15-14 million attack stats. We don't have Imperfect Cell, we don't have like any of those kind of, I want to say, not gimmicky, but those high volume damage output units, we don't have a Tech God Boys who do huge damage when they transform. So yeah, generally speaking, we do have to obviously consider that. It is also important to note that we do have a bit of a time limit. because we need Goku. Sorry, we need Gogeta. We really need Gogeta to essentially, like, not lose his damage reduction. So him losing his damage reduction is kind of a big issue for us. So that's obviously something we're also trying to be aware of. But yeah, in general, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, this one was pretty straightforward. I know we've done Metal Core Cooler and we've done Mega Shenron. Both were quite relaxed, at least with the team builds we had at the time. And this stage was pretty much the same. There wasn't anything I was too concerned about here. Obviously the big challenge is that Broly can double super in one turn, but it did happen, but it didn't happen to the wrong units. Like, the worst case scenario we would have had is if, you know, Beast Gohan was maybe double supered, and I guess also Tech God Goku, you know, before he builds up his defensive stacks, he also could have taken quite a bit of damage. But yeah, once you get going, it was pretty straightforward. Honestly speaking, it was really a super simple kind of concept. So yeah, I was really quite happy with the overall performance. I think the team did it in a way that such that it was quite smooth and painless, and I appreciate that, you know, when everything works out nicely. Gohan was great for just some floating damage. Obviously he took a little bit of damage there, you could see. We didn't manage to get a second super, which would have helped us out tremendously in terms of our, like, offensive output, but that's okay. Or our defensive performance there, but it's okay. Again, because of the strength of our rotations, we really are quite strong. And just in general, we didn't really struggle. Tech God Goku, obviously a great tank. We used him kind of as a floating tank, just to kind of soak up any back end damage, because between, you know, Vegeta and Trunks, between, you know, Gohan, we just didn't take damage. So it really wasn't like that big. Wasn't that big a deal. Honestly, it was, you know, really super chilled. I personally didn't really have any major issues. I think, yeah, if I'm looking back at the stage now, I don't think I'd make a change. Could maybe bring Super Saiyan Gogeta for damage, because the team is a little bit low on damage, but then he doesn't have his evasion because it's Broly, right? So yeah, honestly speaking, it was fine. Like, the whole event, everything about it, it was all fine. Like, a super chilled run. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I think, you know, the team, solid, rock solid. I think obviously anytime you're using bond of parent and child and things like that, I just think it's an incredibly strong concept, a very smooth running team. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's basically it. I don't really see there being anything else. Obviously, we're about to finish up the event, which is great. So yeah, that's obviously something super duper useful, valuable, and another item run. So that's all the big, I think that's all the big three. It's just Cell Max. Well, no, have we done Cell Max? I think we've done Cell Max, I think. But yeah, that's all. No, I think that's the last one. But that's the first three big Red Zone bosses done. We'll do Cell Max, and then I'll probably go back to doing, you know, SBR and stuff like that, because it's been fun to take a break and do some more relevant content, but got to keep going in sequence. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye.